I made 20K in a month working every single day. That's pretty much the same as I make today, but now I work way less, all right? And that is not a flex about money, but it's a lesson about how your strategy evolves. Okay, let's bring it back to 2024 in August. That was the first month that I surpassed 10K, but also 20K as a sales rep. I've been working very hard before that for a couple of months, hitting good months, right? But I never really surpassed that golden number. All right, and up until that point, like I mentioned, I worked really hard, and I really mean it, okay? Because I wasn't just a closer, I was setting my own calls, right? So I was dialing the pipeline, staying on top of that. I was taking my closing calls, right? But I was also sending all of the follow-ups and all of that, right? So obviously I was working a lot. I can show you guys my KPIs. I have the stats of it. And obviously it worked. Obviously it did work. I did get to a point where I earned life-changing money. 20K in a month is really good money, don't get me wrong, but I did hit the ceiling. Okay, because when I look back at it, there's not much more that I could have done. I performed really well, had a good closing rate. I was really maxing out my time, right? I was taking calls pretty much every single day. So there's not much more that I could have done. In my opinion, the best I could have done there is maybe 40K. And don't get me wrong, that's a great amount of money, but it's not where I want to be. I want to be even higher than that. And I don't want to be working that much, because I'm going to tell you guys a story. During that month as well, I was in Italy for 2 weeks of that time, right? And I was working so much. So much I was working. So I didn't really enjoy, the food, the people, the beaches, everything of that. I remember once I went to a beach, wanted to be there to just enjoy myself, but I couldn't. I was just thinking about working. So I went back and started dialing. And when I look back at it, that is not sustainable. That is not what you need to do in order for you to hit the bigger numbers. And that's a lesson that I've learned recently, that in order for you to surpass different levels in business or in life, you cannot always use the same strategy. Because obviously, for me to get to my first 10K and 20K month, hustling was the right answer. But today, if I want to reach even further heights, if I want to get 50K a month, 100K a month, and even more than that, I have to do something different. And this is something that I get the confirmation of all the time. For example, the other month I stayed with one of my mentors, a great guy that are a few steps ahead of me, I would say. Similar path as me, similar niche, and it was interesting because I wanted to see how is this guy working, how is he doing all of this, right? So I had a really good conversation with him about all of this, that it's not about how hard you work, because he said to me that he's not working as hard right now that he used to do, right, when he was a sales rep. But now he's making 10x that amount, right? So that was really interesting for me, that in order for you to get to different levels, you need to change your strategy, right? And focus on other things. And that thing that he was focusing on, that I'm putting a lot more weight and energy into, is exactly that, energy, right? Making sure that your frequency is right. Making sure that you have more leverage, right? Putting yourself in the right rooms, shaking the right hands, okay? Selling for the right offers or managing the right offers, okay? But also always prioritizing yourself, because if you're not in the right energy, then how can you expect you to get something out of it? How can you expect to earn more money? How can you expect to perform at the highest level all the time, right? Because if you're gonna work less, then you have to perform way better at those times. Okay, but if you're working all the time, then you're never going to be able to prioritize yourself. So what I'm focusing on right now, what I've kind of changed in my strategy, obviously I am working really hard. I'm working weekends, I'm working late nights, early mornings, but I'm always putting my frequency first. Always. And that is sitting with myself in your silence, sitting with myself with just journaling and setting my goals and just being the person that I want to become. Working out, being around the people that I want to be with. Okay, that is putting yourself first. That is putting your frequency first. And that is my strategy today. Obviously, I can work hard if I really need to. Last month, I worked really hard, right, for a short period of time. But that is not sustainable. That is not sustainable. And don't get me wrong, I know a lot of you guys that watch me, you are in the beginning stages, okay? And in the beginning, you need to hustle. You really need to hustle, and that is proof to yourself that you are able to do it. I have that proof to myself that I am able to grind for a month or 2 or 3 months to really make things happening. But you don't need to do that. You don't have to do that. But in the beginning, I think it's crucial to have that period. But then when you hit a certain amount, then you will hit the ceiling if you don't change anything with the strategy. And that's the exact same as it is in business, right? If you, let's say you run an agency or something like that, and you run it up to 10K, you're gonna have to change the strategy if you want to get it to 100K, all right? So always think in those terms, what can I do? What can I do differently? Because it's not always about pushing, doing the same thing over and over again. No, it's about changing the strategy. Maybe sometimes even taking a few steps back to get a few steps further ahead. Okay, so I wanted to share this lesson because I think it's a very important one that will help all of you guys. So if this is something that helped you, please leave a like, please subscribe as well. I have my socials in the description as well. So if you like this content, please follow me there as well. And yeah, thank you for watching.